Alright guys, I've got some amazing health benefits to report since I started eating naturally. I went through a lot of healing stages. First off, since my teens, I've had skin problems, and 4 years ago I got this eczema. I found out that it has to do with the gut, but nobody told me to eat raw meat. I did a cooked ketogenic diet, and that helped a little bit, but it never disappeared. And when I started eating raw meat, within months, it was completely gone. And you may not understand it if you have never had to deal with it, but it's such a relief. There's no words for it, because it's incredibly annoying, especially if it's itchy. But it just looks terrible. You just look like shit. You look sick. The same as it is with acne and such, which I thankfully never had to deal with. And as a kid, I was borderline asthmatic. It went away when I was a teenager.
When we talk about the digestive system, we have to talk about what lives inside it and what looks after it and what controls it. And that's our gut flora. Majority of people know that there's some bacteria living inside their tummy, inside their digestive system, and that is called our gut flora. The modern scientific term for it is microbiome. There's a lot of research going on in that area now. Well, the recent research has discovered the fact that about 90% of all cells and all genetic material in the human body is our gut flora. 90%.
Oh my goodness.
So we are just 10%, a shell, a habitat for this mass of microbes which live inside us. And we ignore them at our peril. And the more we're researching them, the more we're realizing that actually we are not in charge. They are in charge of what's going on in the rest of the body, not only the digestive system. In a healthy person, the gut flora is dominated by so-called beneficial microbes. And we have beneficial bacteria and beneficial fungi and beneficial viruses and beneficial protozoa and even beneficial worms. Worms are an important part of our gut flora. And all of these creatures live together in harmony with each other. They all plant each other and harvest each other and eat each other and support each other and control each other and don't allow any one of them to get out of balance.
So they have a bit of a pecking order then too.
Absolutely. Apart from the so-called beneficial ones, there are trillions of downright disease-causing microbes and they're pathogenic and opportunistic microbes, which may cause disease, may not cause disease, depending on the environment, depending on circumstances. In a healthy person with a healthy gut flora, the beneficial group predominates, and it controls the rest and doesn't allow them to cause any trouble. It even employs them to do some useful jobs for us, such as producing some vitamins and amines and some other important nutrients for us. But trouble is, we live in a world where we are increasingly subjected to influences which wipe out our beneficial microbes in the gut. Antibiotics are one of the major factors. Broad-spectrum antibiotics every course wipes out your beneficial microbes in the digestive system, leaving a gaping hole in that harmonious community. So suddenly the harmony is removed and imbalance is introduced. So all the microbes which these beneficial microbes have been controlling suddenly come out of control, get out of control, start growing, developing large colonies, occupying large niches in the digestive system. The beneficial microbes do recover after antibiotics stop, but it takes them between 2 weeks to 2 months to recover. And that's a window of opportunity for the pathogens to grow and become stronger. Once they're established in certain parts of the digestive system, the recovering beneficial microbes have a fight on their hands, and they quite often don't win.
I've never been depressed. It's always been something in the middle, except for when I almost fasted myself to death, obviously. But this high, which I talked about in the other video, that's something completely new. And now we come to the allergies, the torture of my life. If you don't have them, you're very lucky, and likely you're not able to relate to people who do have them. Food allergies, they got worse over the years because I damaged my gut. Nuts, vegetables, fruit, a lot of them. I'm gonna try some of them this summer and see if I tolerate any out of curiosity because of the healing. cats and rabbits. I was in the hospital as a child because of a cat. I couldn't breathe anymore. And spring allergies. There's no way to enjoy spring, and my case is pretty severe. Or the case that I used to have. That's what I want to talk about. Sneezing, mucus, and there's no reason for it. It's nature. These autoimmune problems I've had for ages, most likely. I was never exactly diagnosed with that, but I understand it. Itchy eyes, tears. I didn't have one symptom this year.
With a birth comes the afterbirth, including the placenta.
Ideally, she'll eat this to, again, get the nutrients and the minerals back into her system.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it, we can just cut off a little piece there and, get a little zinc. I mean, it's life itself. And why wouldn't you want to take life into your body? Huh?
I love this, man. Being a complete rookie, it takes me some time to figure out which part of it to eat.
But if I had to guess, this is probably the best eating. And this stuff over here looks like it has like amniotic fluid or something in there, but this looks like food.
It does.
Yeah,
Cheers.
yeah. Sweet, nutty, livery.
Exactly.
If you gave that to me, I'd probably tell you that was a poultry liver of some kind, you know? Very mild.
Very mild.
Oh, does that, are you getting an aftertaste
The same
now?
thing.
That is
Creamy, yeah.
beautiful.
And a ton of them eat raw meat and raw eggs. Even Sylvester Stallone, I knew him back before Rocky. Tons of raw eggs, tons of raw meat, and raw dairy. He stopped doing it about 15, 16 years ago when he believed the medical profession that he was going to get some disease. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the same way. He ended up having heart surgery 10 years ago. He outlawed high bacterial raw milk. We got it, I mean, Sally Fallon and I and a bunch of us worked 2 years, and I lobbied 2 months every day with 5 people to get raw milk accepted and in through the Senate and Assembly, even in Washington, D.C. We did it in California. We got the thing passed almost unanimously. And in one stroke of the pen, Schwarzenegger vetoed the bill. So it destroyed our good milk. So now we have to sell raw milk. And they use all kinds of chemicals in the tanks and everything to keep them free of bacteria. That's the only way to keep it down and still sell the raw milk.
What happened is that at the end of March, I started sneezing again, lightly, but I understood that it's coming. And my body told me, go and drink raw milk, literally. And I thought, I already tried it 3 times since I started eating raw meat, and it didn't work. I got diarrhea, bloating, weird sounds in my stomach. I couldn't digest it. But my body was still telling me, go and do it. So I listened to my body, as you should. And I also listened to Sally Fallon. And she said to try a teaspoon and work yourself up to a higher amount. And within days, I was drinking 1 liter a day. How? I combined it with raw meat. It's that simple. The enzymes in the meat help me digest it. So I recommend doing that in case you can digest milk, which is rare, but it happens. Of course, you can also ferment the milk, make kefir, but I'm talking about fresh, raw milk.
Milk has a sugar called lactose. The milk that we want to buy is real milk, which is not present in supermarkets. All milk in supermarkets comes from cows, which are called Holstein Friesian cows. They were developed by laboratories, by scientists. These are not natural animals. They are Frankenstein cows. And they produce Frankenstein milk. These cows are huge. It can produce 3 times more milk per day than a normal natural cow is able to produce. The composition of this milk is completely different to the real natural milk. So number one thing we do with milk, we find a farmer with real cows. Number one, these real cows must be on pasture. Not in a farm, not in a building somewhere. They need to be in sunshine. Then they will have vitamin D in their milk and their cream and their butter. If the cow is in the barn, there will be no vitamin D in that milk. Many so-called grass-fed cows are locked up in a barn. They grow grass with fertilizers and chemicals on those fields. They cut the grass, they bring it into the barn and give it to the cows. And they call that grass-fed. And we do not pasteurize that milk. We consume it raw. Because milk of any animal is alive, including human. It is the white blood of the woman with red blood cells removed. It is full of alive, active immune cells, white blood cells, active hormones, active neurotransmitters, active proteins, enzymes, vitamins, minerals. It is a complex, and it's living, and it has energy in it. When we consume that, there is no reaction to lactose because raw milk contains an enzyme called lactase, which digests the lactose for us. But if we pasteurize milk, we kill it. It's a dead product.
In April, I had no symptoms at all, but it did rain in between, and the pollen are on the ground then. But in May, when it hardly rained at all, and the pollen were everywhere, flying in the air, in my face, I did not react to them in any way whatsoever. And now in June I can safely say it's over, because it usually lasts till May. The mosquitoes here. The feeling when you're able to enjoy spring just like everybody else, it's indescribable. After so many years of suffering. All of these things, allergies, asthma, eczema, are closely related, and raw milk is a magic drink because of the bacteria. I was never diagnosed with a leaky gut, but I'm quite sure that that's what I had. And I've healed it more or less. I can feel it. That's why I'm able to digest these things also much better.
Allergies, asthma, eczema, hay fever. Our immune system has many arms. But the major two ones that we know of is Th1 and Th2. And this arm is responsible for normal reactions to pollen, to food, to chemicals, to cats and dogs, to horses, to anything to dust mites, anything in the environment. Problem is, this arm is kept up to its jobs and strong by the gut flora. When the gut flora is abnormal, this arm becomes disabled. So the second arm, Th2, tries to compensate for its disabled brother, and it tries to deal with pollen and dust mites and cats and dogs and food and chemicals, but it uses wrong tools. And as a result, you become atopic. You start developing hay fever, reacting to pollen, asthma, reacting to dust mites, allergies to your beloved cat or your beloved dog, to chemicals, to foods, and the list just grows on. In order to get rid of this situation, we need to focus on the gut flora. Heal your gut flora, and this arm will get off the floor. Once you've rebalanced them, hay fever stops, asthma disappears. You're not allergic to your cat or dog anymore. I have many people in my clinic who can switch off and on their allergy to their cat like this by eating a particular food. If they don't eat that food, they can sleep with the cat right there on their face and they're fine at night. So allergies are curable as long as you focus on the gut flora.
Dietary components, potentially including specific micronutrients, influence the character of the gut, the developing microbiome. And this is now where her new research is going. Because what we know is that the gut flora is critically important to our health. We know that if children are born by cesarean section, they don't have as well developed gut flora as if they're born through the mother's birth canal.
When I started practicing as a medical doctor, we were diagnosing one child in 10,000 with autism. 10,000. Today, we're diagnosing on average one child in 35, 40 with autism. And scientists have already projected that line. By 2020s, between 20 and 25, in the English-speaking countries, will be diagnosing one child in 2. Half of our babies will be autistic. And that graph is not going to stop there. It will continue growing until majority or maybe all children will be autistic. Almost 100% of these children were born with a perfectly normal brain. These are perfectly normal children. But they acquired abnormal gut flora from the mother, from the start, and they acquired a heavy toxic load from the mother during pregnancy, these children. So when they're born, their digestive system is populated by pathogens, which produce a river of toxins. These toxins get into the brain of the child and clog it with toxicity. How do babies learn? I'm sure majority of you have children. You watched your babies. They listen to everything. They look at everything. They touch everything. They take everything in their mouth. What are they doing? They're using their senses to collect information from the world. Their hearing, their vision, their tactile sensitivity, their taste buds, their smell. And then these organs pass that information to the brain to be processed. And from that information, the baby learns that this is mommy, this is daddy, I can trust them. This is a toy, I play with it like this. I don't line it up, I don't throw it, I don't destroy it. These are other children, I copy them. This is food, I eat it like this. But if the child's brain is clogged with toxins, it cannot process this sensory information. Information turns into a noise, into a mush in the child's brain, and from that noise, the child can't decipher anything useful. Autistic children do not learn that this is mommy and daddy. Mommy and daddy usually don't mean any more than any other human being around. They are known to pick up a hand of any stranger on the street and try to walk away with that person, with mommy running behind and screaming his name. They don't know what to do with toys, they don't know what to do with food, they don't know what to do with other children. What do we need to do with this child? We need to change the gut flora. We need to heal and seal the gut wall. Close all the holes in the gut wall so toxins stop absorbing. And once that source of toxicity stops, the brain cleans up. Human brain has a beautiful ability to clean itself up. It has its own detoxification system, microglia. It will clean itself up and it will start functioning. The child will wake up. The toxic fog disappears, and from that moment on, the child learns. So if the child is 2 years old, 3 years old, we can pull the child out of autism 100%. This will be a normal child, continue developing, learning, working, studying. But the older the child is, the less fully they recover, the more residual damage is left. But it is very, very individual.
When I look back at my childhood, I realized that a lot of the kids that I grew up with were mentally ill, some autistic. Back then I thought that they are different, but that it's normal. It all makes sense now. We always ate anti-foods, such as grains, with everything. Antibiotics were also normal. After World War II, we went from the fish and other meat-based diet to a starvation grain-based diet, just like it is everywhere. They wouldn't have tried to change anything if they would have grown up eating raw foods such as milk and meat, because when we digest them, we can tell that this is the best food for us. We wouldn't try to change to something like grains.